My heart stopped in front of 40 people, but my parents missed it. Because my sister was screaming about paint colors, so I called my lawyer instead. Right there, in the middle of the most significant presentation of my life, my heart literally stopped beating. When I awoke alone and afraid, I learned that those who should have been there for me had chosen paint samples instead. The meeting room lights flickered, blinding my vision. I tightened my grasp on the podium, but it wasn't enough. When 40 sets of eyes met mine, I realized something was very wrong. And, as you can see from the Q3 forecasts, my voice fluctuated. The slides turned into a meaningless whirl of color. My heart wasn't simply racing. It seemed to be attempting to punch its way out of my chest. My name is Aita, and I was dying that day. "Miss Vale, are you all right?" someone asked from behind. I opened my mouth and nothing came out. The room swirled. As I fell to the floor, the ceiling panels began to rotate above me. Voices erupted. "Call 911, is she breathing? Please clear the room." My assistant Aurelia came above me, her mascara already flowing. "Aita, stay with us. The ambulance is on its way." I attempted to reach for my phone, my arms as heavy as lead. Call my parents." I managed to whisper before everything went black. The next thing I remembered was the cold. So cold. Doctors spoke in urgent, quiet tones. Words like heart arrhythmia and emergency surgery are coming through the fog. "Please," I implored the nurse, prepping my arm. "My phone. I need to call my family." She paused before handing it over. With shaky fingers I dialed my mother's phone number, straight to voicemail. My father did the same thing. My texts were increasingly urgent. "Mom, I'm in the hospital." "Dad, please answer. They're taking me to surgery. I'm scared." The nurse gave me a compassionate smile as she gently removed my phone. "We need to go now, honey. I'm sure they'll be here when you wake up." They hadn't been. I awoke in the ICU hours later, dazed and completely alone. The continuous beeping of monitors provided the only soundtrack to my seclusion. Aurelia had left a letter promising to return, but the hospital's protocol only allowed intimate family members after hours. Immediate family. What a joke. Around 3 a.m., a night nurse arrived to check my vitals. She had nice eyes and a kind touch when she adjusted my IV. "Your mother left a voicemail earlier," she explained, grabbing for my phone. "Would you like to hear it?" I nodded, a little hope in my chest. Then her voice. "Hi, sweetie. We got your messages, but we can't come right now. Seraphine is having an absolute crisis over the color they painted her new apartment. She's inconsolable. You know how she gets. We'll try to stop by tomorrow if she's feeling better. Love you." The nurse's expression spoke it all. I looked away, hot tears running down my cheeks. "Would you like me to call someone else for you?" she inquired quietly. A memory rushed into my head. Last Christmas, I wrote a $50,000 check to pay Seraphine's credit card debt. My mother had scarcely looked up from helping Seraphine organize her new luxury handbag collection. "Thanks, Sophie. You're such a good sister, good daughter, good ATM." I wiped my eyes and gazed at the nurse. "Actually, yes, could you please hand me my phone? I need to call my lawyer." She handed it to me with anxiety on her face. My hands remained steady as I navigated through my contacts and pressed call. "Adrian, it's Aita. I know it's late, but I need you. Bring the papers. All of them." "Yes, I'm sure. I'm in the ICU at Mount Si." I hesitated to hear his reply. "No, my family isn't here." "That's exactly why I'm calling." After hanging up, I stared at the ceiling, my heart monitor beeping in time with my new determination. I'd almost died today, but my sister's paint color problem had taken precedence. 20 years of comparable experiences rushed over me like a tidal wave. Seraphine threw tantrums at my college graduation. Seraphine had a disastrous date, so my parents were unable to attend my company's launch party. Countless times I cleaned up her messes while my own accomplishments gathered dust. My phone vibrated. An Instagram notice. Seraphine had recently uploaded a selfie with our parents, all three crowded around paint swatches. The caption read, "Worst day ever. Thank God for family support. #blessed #family #crisis." I turned off my phone and closed my eyes, feeling something hard and icy solidify in my chest. It wasn't my heart this time. It was determination. Adrian would join me tomorrow to begin demolishing what I'd made for them. And for the first time in my life, I would not feel bad about it. Adrian came at 9 a.m., crisp, with his leather bag overflowing. He looked at me, hooked up to monitors and still pale from surgery, and his professional attitude crumbled. Jesus, Isla. You look like hell. Thanks, I said with a faint smile. I always knew I could count on you for honesty. Did you bring everything? He took a seat and began arranging documents on my bedside table. Everything you asked for. But are you sure about this? It's aggressive. My heart literally stopped yesterday and my family was too busy picking paint swatches to care. I stated with a bitter tone. I'd say aggressive is exactly what this situation calls for. Adrian nodded, his mouth clenching. We had been buddies since college. He had witnessed much of my family's behavior over the years. All right. Let's start with the will changes. For the following hour, we worked systematically through the paperwork. My signature became steadier with each page, as if my hand knew what was proper, even as my heart grieved. So that's your parents removed as beneficiaries, Adrian replied, moving papers. Next is revoking their access to your accounts, the ones you've been using to support Seraphine's lifestyle. A recollection surfaced. Last summer I stood in my parents' kitchen, holding Seraphine's most recent credit card statement. It's only $70,000 this time, Mom replied without glancing up from her magazine. You know how hard things have been for her since that breakup. Do it, I instructed Adrian. All of it. He took out another stack of papers. And the vacation house. List it today if possible. Your parents spend each summer there, not anymore. My phone vibrated. A text from Mom. Seraphine chose the ideal shade of sage. Crisis averted. How are you feeling, sweetheart? I showed it to Adrian, who blew a low whistle. That's something else. Watch this, I said, starting the family group chat. My fingers moved quickly across the keyboard. I am still in the intensive care unit following emergency heart surgery. Thank you for asking. I'm glad Seraphine's walls are sage instead than seafoam. It's definitely worth missing your daughter's near-death experience for. Adrian lifted his eyebrow. Poking the bear. More like waking it up, I murmured, with cold satisfaction in my voice. They've been hibernating in their bubble of denial for too long. My phone immediately filled up with notifications. She replied. Don't be dramatic, Sophie. The doctor said you're stable. My dad. We'll visit soon, princess. Seraphine as usual. OMG. Why are you trying to make my apartment crisis about you? I turned my phone face down. Keep going with the papers, Adrian. By lunchtime, we had completed everything necessary to officially separate my finances from my family's parasitic attachment. Adrian was packing everything when my buddy Alara barged in, bearing genuine coffee and looking homicidal. I just saw Seraphine's Instagram story, she said me, handing me the coffee. She's doing a full home renovation reveal tagged with #blessed, #newbeginnings, #family support. Not a single mention that her sister almost died yesterday. Of course not, I replied, taking a sip. That would require acknowledging someone else's existence. I've got the papers ready to file, Adrian stated, standing. But I'll hold them until tomorrow. Give you time to think it through. I shake my head. File them now. I've had 38 years to think it through. After they went, I scrolled through my phone. Seraphine had posted again, this time a boomerang of herself whirling in her newly painted living room. Mom and Dad stood in the background, applauding. The image's caption stated, Sometimes it takes a village. So grateful for parents who drop everything to help in a crisis. #blessed, #paint day, #family first. My fingers hovered over the comment button. Instead, I opened my email and sent a message to my whole contact list. Dear friends and colleagues, I am currently in the ICU at Mount Si after emergency heart surgery. While I'm fine now, it was a near call. I'm sharing this not for sympathy, but to explain why I'll be out of the office for a long. I'm also sharing since yesterday I learned something important about family. Sometimes those who should be present aren't, and sometimes that is the wake-up call you need. Best, Isla. I pushed send, and then switched off my phone. Let them cope with the consequences of their decisions being made public. I was finished covering for them. A nurse came in to check my vital signs. Looking at the papers Adrian had left behind, she inquired. Big decisions today. Life-changing ones? Your heart rate is much higher? She observed, examining the monitor. I stared out the window at the Manhattan skyline and felt lighter than I have in years. Yeah, I replied. I think it finally remembered how to beat for itself instead of everyone else. She touched my hand before leaving. In the silence of my hospital room, I swear I heard the sound of bridges burning, which sounded like liberation. My parents eventually came to see me 3 days after surgery. Mom walked in, wearing her characteristic Hermes scarf and bearing a flower that likely cost more than my hospital bill. Dad trailed behind, appearing uneasy in the sterile setting. "Oh, darling," Mom said, as if we were meeting for lunch rather than seeing her daughter after a cardiac incident. "These fluorescent lights are absolutely brutal on your complexion." "Nearly dying tends to do that," I said bluntly. Dad cleared his throat. "Now, princess, no need for that tone. We're here now." 3 days later, I explained. Mom placed the flowers, breaking the stillness with conversation. Seraphine wanted to come, but she's still dealing with the contractor. Such a nightmare. They completely botched the crown molding. She's been crying all morning. I punched the morphine button on my IV, not for pain but for patience. "Where is Seraphine anyway?" Dad inquired, gazing around as if she could emerge from behind the curtain. "Probably posting about her crown molding crisis on Instagram," I predicted. "Did you know her story about paint swatches got more attention than my emergency surgery announcement?" Mom's hands remained still on the flowers. "Isla, please. You know how sensitive she is. She's been absolutely beside herself about your situation." "My situation?" I repeated. "You mean my heart stopping?" A knock on the door kept them from responding. Adrian entered, dressed impeccably and carrying a leather portfolio. My mother's face lightened up. She had always thought we would date. "Adrian, how lovely to see you. Are you here to check on our girl?" "Actually," he continued, approaching my bedside, "I'm here in my professional capacity." He gave me a folder. I carefully opened it, enjoying the experience. "Mom, Dad, you remember Adrian's my lawyer, right?" My mother's face lost its color. Dad's false smile faltered. "These are copies of the documents I filed yesterday," I explained, my voice firm. "I've removed you both from my will, revoked your access to all my accounts, and listed the vacation house in Florida for sale." "But the house," Dad said. "But where will we go in the summer?" "Not my concern." Mom's nicely manicured hand moved to her throat. "Isla, you can't be serious. We're family." "Family." I laughed, and the cardiac monitor revealed my outburst. "Let me tell you about family. Last month I paid off Seraphine's $70,000 credit card debt. The month before that, I covered her rent when she forgot to pay it for 3 months. Last year I funded her failed jewelry business. Want to know what I got in return when my heart stopped and I needed you most? You chose paint swatches over your dying daughter." "That's not fair," Dad said softly. "No," I replied, leaning forward. "What's not fair is that I've spent my entire adult life being your backup plan, your safety net, your human ATM. Well, guess what? The Bank of Isla is officially closed." Adrian gave them each a stack of papers. "These detail the changes." "I'd recommend reading them carefully," Mom said, flipping over the documents. This is ridiculous. You won't go through with this. Family sticks together, Isla. You know that." I stared her right in the eyes. "If that's true, how come I almost died alone?" The silence that followed was terrible. "The house is already listed," Adrian said quietly. "We expect it to sell quickly in this market." Dad fell into a chair, papers crumpled in his fingers. "Princess, please, let's talk about this rationally." I had plenty of time to think rationally while lying here alone for 3 days, I admitted. "Did you know the nurses took turns sitting with me after surgery because they felt bad that I had no family here? Strangers showed more concern than my own parents?" Mom's mascara was beginning to run. "You're being dramatic. We came as soon as we could. After Seraphine's paint crisis was resolved," I clarified. "Check your priorities, Mom. Better yet, check your phone. I'm sure Seraphine's having another meltdown about crown molding right now." Mom's phone vibrated as if on cue. She looked at it immediately. "Go ahead," I replied. "Answer it. We both know you will." She rose up and smoothed her skirt with shaky hands. "This isn't over, Isla. You're upset. You're not thinking clearly. We'll discuss this when you're feeling better." "Actually, we won't." I tapped the nurse's call button. "I'm ready for my rest now." As security took them away, as Adrian had requested, I heard Mom's voice crack. "She can't do this. She's our daughter." "No," I said quietly to the empty room. "I'm just the backup daughter you never wanted, but always needed." And I quit. The monitor showed my heart rate returning to normal, steady and robust, as if it knew this was only the start. The phone rang at 3 a.m. Seraphine's name appeared on the screen and I responded out of morbid curiosity. How dare you? Her voice was filled with wrath. How dare you do this to Mom and Dad? Good morning to you too, Seraphine. How's the crown molding crisis? Don't you dare be sarcastic with me. They're devastated. Mom hasn't stopped crying and Dad had to take a Xanax. I moved my hospital bed to sit up straighter. Interesting how they can have such strong reactions to consequences, but couldn't muster any concern when I was literally dying. Oh my God, you're not dying. Stop being so dramatic. My heart stopped, Seraphine. Actually stopped. But please, tell me more about your paint emergency. She produced a sound something between a scream and a sob. You need to fix this. Call Adrian right now and undo everything. Or what? Or I'll never speak to you again. I laughed. I genuinely laughed for the first time in days. Is that supposed to be a threat? The line went silent for a moment. Seraphine spoke again, and her voice had that familiar manipulative tremble that normally preceded getting her way. Remember when we were kids and you promised to always take care of me? A recollection flashed. I was 12, and Seraphine was 6. She ruined my science fair project the night before the presentation, spilling glue all over weeks of labor. Mom criticized me for not sharing my resources. Actually, I do remember, I said. I remember a lot of things, Seraphine. Like how I sold Grandma's ring, my only inheritance, to bail you out of debt 3 years ago. Remember what you said then? Thanks, sis. You're the best. Right before you went on a shopping spree with Mom. That's different. I needed you. You always need, and I'm always expected to provide. Well, guess what? I'm done. Mom wants to meet, she explained, shifting tactics. One last family meeting to talk things through. I pondered it. Fine. Tomorrow at noon, the hospital cafeteria. But my contractor, noon. Take it or leave it. She agreed. But I wasn't finished. And Seraphine, I'm bringing Alara. Your annoying friend. Ugh, why? Because I'm done being outnumbered. The next day, Mom and Dad arrived first, looking as if they had not slept. Seraphine arrived 15 minutes late, wearing huge sunglasses and clutching an iced cappuccino as if it were life support. Alara sat next to me, radiating protecting energy. She'd known about my family dynamics for years and had always been my voice of reason. Isla, Mom said, leaning across the table. Let's talk about this rationally. Rational? Alara asked. Like ignoring your daughter's emergency surgery? This is a family matter, Seraphine said abruptly. Funny, I said. I was family when you needed your credit cards paid off. Dad raised his hands placatingly. Princess, we understand you're hurt, but this revenge, it's beneath you. Revenge. I leaned in. This isn't revenge, Dad. This is boundaries. This is me finally saying no. Seraphine slapped her cappuccino down. You're being selfish. Do you know what this is doing to me? My anxiety is through the roof. My followers can tell something's wrong. Alara snorted. Your sister almost died, and you're worried about your Instagram aesthetic? Stay out of this, Seraphine yelled at Alara. This is your fault. You've always tried to turn her against us. No, I interrupted. You did that all by yourselves. Mom began crying. Her trained tears, precisely on time. We can fix this, sweetie. Just call Adrian. Stop. My voice was firm. The house is already in escrow. The accounts are closed. It's done. Seraphine sprang up so quickly that her chair toppled backward. You ungrateful. She snatched her latte and hurled it at Alara, who barely evaded the cup. The cafeteria became silent. Security approached immediately. And that, I continued slowly, as if to clarify something apparent, is exactly why this is happening. As security led Seraphine out, her screaming ringing throughout the corridor, I turned to my parents. We're done here. Isla, please. Mom tried one more time. No. I'm going to be discharged tomorrow. When I leave this hospital, I'm leaving this dysfunction behind too. I stood up, Alara alongside me. Oh, and one more thing. I've instructed my lawyer to file a restraining order against Seraphine. Consider this her first and last warning. Alara gripped my hand as we walked back to my room. You okay? I nodded and felt lighter than I have in years. You know what's funny? My heart's actually beating better now that I've stopped letting them break it. Behind us, I could hear Seraphine's distant screams blending with Mom's sobs, the sound of consequences finally catching up with them. The Florida home sold in 3 days, much above the asking amount. I signed the final paperwork for my new flat, where I had been resting for the previous week. Adrian sat across from me, passing me a cashier's check for $4,200,000. "What are you going to do with it first?" he inquired. "I'm hiring an estate sale company to clear it out," I told them. "Everything goes, including the piano." My hands remained still above the check. The baby grand piano was my childhood hideaway. Mom had given it to Seraphine for her 16th birthday, although knowing I was the only one who played. Especially the piano. My phone vibrated. A news alert. A local lady was removed from a premium boutique following an incident with personnel. The thumbnail depicted Seraphine being let out by security, mascara pouring down her face. "Your sister's making headlines," Adrian said, staring at my screen. "She always wanted to be famous." I shared the item to Alara, who immediately replied, "Karma is working overtime." The estate sales business arrived the following day. I watched on FaceTime while they cataloged everything, assigning prices to fragments of my past. Colette, the woman in charge, displayed a familiar jewelry box. "What about this?" Inside was a spot where my grandmother's ring had once resided before I sold it to pay off Seraphine's gambling debts. "Sell it," I replied. "Everything goes, Isla." A voice shrieked from off-camera. Seraphine had somehow slipped through security. "You can't sell Mom's anniversary china." Colette turned the camera, revealing Seraphine attempting to retrieve goods off a table. "Should I call the police?" "Immediately." I watched as Seraphine was removed once more, this time screaming about family treasures and betrayal. My phone lit up with text messages from Mom. "How could you resell our memories? Your father is heartbroken. That piano was for Seraphine. We are still your family." I blocked their numbers. Later in the afternoon, Adrian called. His voice was tight. "We have a situation. Seraphine tried to file for temporary conservatorship over you." "She what?" "She's claiming your cardiac event affected your mental capacity. Says your erratic behavior proves you're unfit to manage your affairs." I laughed, but there was nothing funny about it. "Let me guess. She's volunteering to manage my money for me." "Got it in one. Don't worry, it's ridiculous, no judge would uphold it." I abruptly interrupted. "Make it expensive. And Adrian, countersue for harassment." The estate sale began on Saturday. I watched the security cameras on my phone while outsiders sifted through my family's meticulously manicured photos. The piano was delivered initially to a music school. Perfect. My phone received an email from an unexpected address. The subject line chilled my blood. "Your father's medical records." "What is this?" I asked Adrian on speakerphone. "Open it." Inside was a single line. "Dad also had a heart issue. Mom never informed you. I guess she liked one daughter enough to warn her." H. I felt my newly strengthened heart skip a beat. "Is this true?" "I had it verified," Adrian remarked quietly. "Your father has the same condition. Genetic. Seraphine's been monitored for it since childhood." The room swirled. They had known. They knew I may have inherited it. And they never informed me. Seraphine was protected. But I wasn't. Never me. "Adrian." My voice remained firm despite the tremble in my hands. "Remember when you said the conservatorship claim was ridiculous?" "Yes." "Prove it. Release my medical records to the court. Show them I'm not only competent, I'm thriving post-surgery. Then leak the fact that they knew about this genetic condition and deliberately withheld the information. That's nuclear, Isla. Nuclear feels appropriate." As we hung up, another notification appeared. A certified letter from Seraphine's attorney. I opened the attachment anticipating more threats. Instead, I found myself staring at a photograph of myself at the age of 12, standing protectively alongside Seraphine, then 6 years old. On the back, in my mother's handwriting, "My girls will be inseparable forever." Seraphine had written below it, "Remember who you are supposed to be. My protector and sister, please don't make me destroy you." I forwarded the threat to Adrian and opened my laptop. It was time to share my story, all of it. Decades of manipulation, financial abuse and neglect. No names, just the truth. As I typed, I remembered something my grandmother taught me before she died. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is to cease shielding people from the repercussions of their own actions. My fingers moved quickly across the keyboard. Each word was another brick in the wall I was constructing between my past and future. Let them arrive. Let them threaten. I wasn't their protector anymore. I was finally on my own. My blog entry went live at midnight. By 6 a.m., it had exceeded 100,000 shares. The title stated, "A Story of Family Toxicity and Survival." I hadn't mentioned any names, but anyone who knew us would recognize the truth. Alara made the initial call. "Have you seen Twitter? You're trending." I updated my newsfeed. Thousands of comments, most of which shared similar stories of family dysfunction. The phrase "golden child syndrome" appeared everywhere. "Your mother's country club friends are having a field day," Alara said. Apparently she had to leave her tennis match early because everyone was whispering. My phone vibrated. Julian is Seraphine's on-again, off-again boyfriend. "Your sister's losing it," he remarked without hesitation. "She's been screaming for hours, throwing things. I can't handle this anymore." "Not my problem." "She says you're lying about everything. That you're just jealous of her." I laughed. "Ask her about Dad's heart condition. Ask her why they never told me I could die from the same thing that almost killed me last month." Silence. They knew since we were kids. Seraphine got tested. I didn't even know it ran in the family." "Jesus Christ," he sighed deeply. "I'm done. Tell Adrian I'll testify about her behavior if he needs me to." By lunchtime, the tale had made local headlines. A prominent family's dirty laundry was exposed, a story of medical negligence and financial abuse. They didn't use our names, and they didn't have to. Dad's phone call was next. "Princess, please. They're asking me to step down from the country club board." "Tragic," I replied. "Almost as tragic as not telling your daughter she had a potentially fatal heart condition. We were trying to protect you from worry." "No. You were trying to protect Seraphine from responsibility, as usual." "Your mother's devastated. Our friends are finally seeing who you really are." Adrian called with updates. Seraphine's conservatorship attempt was thrown out. The judge actually laughed. "But there's more. She sent a cease and desist letter, stating that your blog piece had caused her irreparable anguish." "Perfect. Counter with the medical records." "Already did." Her lawyer withdrew the letter in under an hour. My email notification came as I was studying asset transfer documents. "Julian sent this message. I thought you should see it. She has no idea I taped it." Seraphine was yelling at our parents at her apartment, according to the attached video. "Fix this. Make her stop. I can't take people looking at me like this. Do something." Mom's voice. "Darling, we're trying. But try harder. I'm the one who matters. I'm your real daughter." The video was chopped off. I forwarded it to Adrian with a single word. Leverage. My phone flashed up with a text from an unknown number. A photo of my grandmother's ring, which I'd sold to support Seraphine. The wording indicated that something was missing. "Who is this?" I typed back. "Someone purchased it from a pawn shop. Want it back? Meet me." I blocked the number and contacted Adrian. "They're getting desperate." "Good," he said. "Because I just filed the harassment suit. And Isla, the ring thing, that was amateur hour. I bought your grandmother's ring back months ago. It's in my safe." Tears stung my eyes. "You did?" "Of course. I knew you'd want it back someday." That evening, my blog entry made national headlines. My inbox was swamped with interview requests. Dr. Phil's producers called twice. Then Mom left a voicemail. She was crying, yelling, and apologizing all in one breath. "Please, baby, we can remedy this. Tell everyone you were perplexed. Say you made it up. We are your family." I performed it for Alara over wine. "Wow," she replied. "She actually sounds sincere." "She's not," I answered. "Listen carefully. She's not saying she's sorry for what they did, she's sorry they got caught." My phone vibrated again. A local socialite has a dramatic meltdown during a charity banquet. Seraphine was once again escorted out, according to the photo. "Your sister is really committing to this spiral," Alara commented. "She's never faced consequences before. She doesn't know how." I reopened my laptop and started typing again. This isn't another blog entry, it's an email to my realtor. Subject line: looking for property in California. "Running away?" Alara inquired, reading over my shoulder. "No," I said, thinking of the grandmother's ring in Adrian's safe. "Running towards something better." Mom's phone number appeared on my screen, almost as if on cue. For the first time in my life, I felt no impulse to respond. Certain bridges are not meant to be repaired. Some fires must burn until only truth remains in the ashes. The family home seemed smaller than I remembered. I stood in the driveway, keys in hand, gazing at the colonial facade that had held so many meticulously curated lies. "Do you want me to go in first?" Alara asked, standing alongside me. "No, I need to do this." I'd come to gather the remainder of my possessions before moving to California. Adrian had planned for a police presence just in case, but seeing the vehicle parked discreetly down the street felt odd. The front door opened before I could use my key. Mom stood there, looking strangely shrunken without her normal flawless makeup. "You brought security?" Her voice broke. "I brought witnesses," I corrected, nodding at Alara and the police officer who was now going up the driveway. Dad appeared behind her. "Princess, this is unnecessary. After Seraphine's latest stunt, I'd say it's very necessary." They stepped aside, allowing us to enter. The house reeked of desperation and Chanel No. 5, Mom's distinctive stress-cleaning fragrance. "I'm here for my belongings," I said, starting up the stairs. "Just my childhood photos and some documents." "Wait," Mom shouted out. "There's something you need to know first." I turned to observe her twist her wedding ring, a warning sign of impending manipulation. "You should sit down for this." "I'll stand." She exchanged glances with Dad, who nodded briefly. "It's about your adoption." The word hung in the air, like smoke. Alara gripped my arm and studied me. "My what?" Mom's voice wavered. "You're technically your Aunt Aurelia's daughter. When she died, we took you in. You were only 2. We never told you because we wanted you to feel like real family." The room tilted. Aunt Aurelia, Mom's sister, perished in an automobile accident. My mother. My true mother. Dad stepped forward. "We loved you like our own." "Stop." My voice was icy. "You loved me like your own? You let me believe I was your biological child while withholding life-saving medical information because it wasn't actually genetic for me. You prioritized your biological daughter while I paid her bills, cleaned her messes, and nearly died alone." "We didn't want you to feel different," Mom insisted. "Different?" I laughed, the sound harsh even for my own ears. "You mean like how you treated me differently my entire life?" Seraphine had arrived, as evidenced by her heavy footsteps on the stairs. "Oh good. She finally knows she's not really my sister." "I'm not," I said, turning to her. "Then I guess I'm not really responsible for you anymore. All those years of guilt, of obligation, they never belonged to me, did they?" "You ungrateful," Seraphine began. But Mom cut her off. "We gave you everything," she exclaimed. "A home and education opportunities." "No," I interrupted. "I earned those things, every single one of them, while you were busy coddling your real daughter." I walked up the stairs, pushing past Seraphine. I found the box I was looking for in my old room: photographs, documents, and memories. A little frame was wrapped in tissue paper and placed at the bottom. Inside was the last photograph of Aunt Aurelia, my true mother, cradling me as a newborn. Downstairs, mayhem ensued. Seraphine screamed about inheritance rights, Mom was grieving about family loyalty, Dad was attempting to speak over everyone about sensible conversations. I ascended the stairs with my package, the police officer approaching. "That's my baby photo album?" Seraphine screamed, reaching for my box. The cop moved between us. "Actually," I quietly replied, "these are Aunt Aurelia's photos. My mother's photos. I'm taking what's mine and leaving what never was." "You can't just walk away from this family." Mom gripped my arm. I shook her off. "I'm not walking away from my family. I'm walking away from people who kept me around as a convenient backup plan. There's a difference." "We'll sue," Seraphine exclaimed. "We'll take everything." "Go ahead." I approached the door. "But remember, I have proof of financial fraud, medical neglect, and now proof that you knowingly withheld my adoption status while using it against me. Want to see how that plays in court?" Silence fell. I turned to them one more time. "You know what's funny? You kept the secret, thinking it would make me feel less like family. But knowing the truth, it finally sets me free. I'm not your backup daughter. I'm not your ATM. I'm Aurelia's daughter, and I'm done carrying your burdens." Alara opened the door, letting sunlight in. Behind me I could hear Mom crying, Dad's failed attempts to console her, and Seraphine's incomprehensible wrath. But ahead of me? Nothing but open roads and possibilities. "Are you ready?" Alara said. I gripped my package of actual memories, feeling lighter than ever. Ready. We stepped out into the sunlight, leaving the shadows of lies behind. In my pocket, my phone vibrated with another lawsuit threat from Seraphine's lawyer. Let them arrive. I had truth on my side now, and I was discovering that truth was the most powerful weapon of all. As I completed typing my last blog entry, the California sun shone through my office window. My heart, now steady and strong, beat perfectly in time with the keyboard sounds. And that's when I realized that family isn't about blood or obligation, I wrote. It's all about choice. Every day, we pick who enters our hearts. Adrian's call made my phone light up. The lawsuits are officially dismissed, he stated. All of them. The judge called them, and I quote, frivolous attempts at financial manipulation. How's Seraphine taking it? Not well. Have you seen the tabloids? I looked up the latest headline. Socialite public meltdown goes viral. My sister has ruined my life. The video showed Seraphine tossing drinks at paparazzi outside a Manhattan eatery. She's trending again, I explained. Not the kind of fame she wanted. Speaking of trending, I remarked, spotting an unread email. It was from Mom. The subject line said, your father's birthday. Inside was a snapshot from our last family vacation before everything fell apart. She had written below it, we miss you. Couldn't we just go back? I selected erase. My doorbell rang. Alara stood outside, holding 2 coffees and a small box. Special delivery from Adrian, she said, handing me the box. Inside, snuggled in velvet, was my grandmother's ring, which I had sold for Seraphine and Adrian had saved, but now it was on a fresh chain, converted into a necklace. Adrian suggested you wear it differently now, Alara explained. New meanings for new beginnings. I put it around my neck just as my laptop chimed. A contribution confirmation. I had recently paid a year of heart screening for low-income families through my local hospital. The application was named after my biological mother, Aurelia. Your support group starts soon, Alara reminded me. Are you ready? When I logged into the video call, dozens of faces appeared. Everyone who had discovered their own power through my narrative. We weren't only healing ourselves. We were creating something fresh. Welcome everyone, I said. Today we're talking about setting boundaries without guilt. My phone vibrated about halfway through the session. Julian texted me. I thought you should know that Seraphine is trying to sell a story about your adoption to the newspapers. Don't worry, I sent them a video showing her admitting to financial crimes instead. I smiled. Karma was certainly working overtime. Another email arrived, this one from Dad. The subject line made me pause. I apologize. For what it's worth, he wrote that I was mistaken. We were all mistaken. Not simply how we treated you, but also what family meant. You are stronger than any of us ever were. For the first time, his comments had no influence over me. I did not need his approval or apology. I was no longer the girl who yearned for her family's affection. The support group session concluded with our regular affirmation. We choose ourselves today. Alara pointed at my laptop screen. Look at your blog comments. A fresh message jumped out. I have left my poisonous family today. Your tale gave me courage. Thank you for showing me that walking away does not imply giving up. It is growing up. I stroked my grandmother's ring, which was now resting on my heart, rather than weighing down my hand. Are you ready for dinner, Alara? I inquired. The new Thai place has outdoor seating. Oh, and I invited someone from your cardiac support group. That writer who also survived family drama. She seemed cool. Outside, the sunset painted the sky in colors that no paint swatch could match. My phone buzzed one more time. Seraphine had posted another diatribe about familial betrayal. I turned off the notifications and grinned at Alara. You know what? I think I'm finally done carrying their stories. It's time to live my own. We strolled towards the restaurant, my grandmother's ring catching the final rays of sun. Behind us, a stream of responses poured in on my blog post. You helped me find my voice. Today, I choose myself. Thank you for showing us the path out. Revenge had led me here, but it was not what kept me standing. That stemmed from something greater, the power to choose myself. Of creating a life in which love did not need sacrifice. My heartbeat is steady and true. No more rushing to please others or breaking under the weight of unnecessary obligations. This was freedom. This was tranquility. And it tasted better than any revenge ever could.